All right, everybody, welcome in. Good morning. It is time. It is time for what you might ask. It is time to go out and do a little familial fencing. On the ranch, there is one thing that brings the family together better than any other activity, and that is fencing. So I'm going to introduce you to the crew, and then I'm going to tell you what we're doing. All right, so of course we got me, old Papa JJ, returned from the road. We got Lash, she's ready to rock and roll. We got Armstrong, oh yeah, Montana man. And over there against the door, we got Big Weed Man Weeds. And he's all slouched down, scrunched up against the dashboard so that he doesn't look so big.
My shoulders are gonna break.
Shoulders are gonna get squished?
Yeah.
Partially due to some of the drought situation we've had the last several years, which this summer we were relieved of. More or less have decided to kind of reroute. You're getting blasted right in the face with that sun, aren't you? We kind of decided to reroute some of our fencing, okay? We realized that by shifting some of our cross fences, that we should be able to capitalize on some grazing opportunities. I'll explain a little bit more about that as far as what and why when we're out there, and I can kind of let you visualize. It's probably a mile, I'd say a good mile worth of fence, mile and a half, something like that, that we are redoing. Oh, we had a good friend of ours, Branson Anderson, musician Branson. He was on the podcast a while back. He spent some time up here and was kind enough to tear out the old fence as a work project while he was waiting around for a show. And now we're taking all of that, all the stuff he tore out, all the old fence posts and stuff, and we have moved them up, and it is our job to pound all these new posts back in. And so it's a Saturday morning and we are on our way. We get out in like a assembly line type of fashion, and you're gonna get to watch us just put the hammer down, literally using the hammer to put the posts down. What do you say? Yay. Thumbs up, Marnie? Oh yeah. Made it out into the fields. All right, a couple things here I'm gonna explain to you. There's probably a quarter mile, I'd say a quarter mile from here to the highway. Highway runs along the place there. I'm standing right now on what we call the railroad bed. And it's not just called a railroad bed, it's a legitimate railroad bed. Quick explanation on the railroad bed is that way back in the day, back in the Depression era, they made a plan to run a railroad through central Montana. And so they hired all the workers and graded a railroad bed for quite a long ways. It ends right here on the end of our property, but it goes clear into the mountain that way, and they never put a railroad on it. They just hired everyone to make it. But no track was ever laid. No track was ever laid, and as a result, it ends up being like this boundary thing on our place where the railroad bed kind of cuts. We had to downsize our place several years ago. We lost a lease that we had up in the mountains. And in doing so, we ended up having to sell about half of our cow herd off. That was probably 8 or 10 years ago. And ever since then, we've been trying to create the balance. This is the balance that all ranch people struggle with, is pasture on this side and hay on this side. You have to produce enough hay to get you through a Montana winter. So part of your place you have to kind of designate as hay ground, and part of your place you more or less designate as pastures that you were going to rotate your cattle around through the summertime. And Rooster did a lot of thinking and looking and figuring, and realized that in creating a new fence that runs along the bottom of the railroad bed, we're gonna open up and create a bunch more pasture on our place. And here I'm going to show you where they would have put in a railroad bridge, because this cut is so deep down here. See this gap? That's probably 30 feet down in elevation, down into that hole, and then back up the other side. They would have put a bridge across here. Obviously they didn't, because they never laid track. You can see an example here of where we were able to cut along the edge and where we don't. And where we don't cut, that is some super deep, monstrous grass, okay? And it's this whole railroad bed area from where the kids are, clear over to these cuts. We can't cut any of that stuff. It all ends up just going to waste. We ended up having the thought that, well, let's run a cross fence down the railroad bed and designate permanently now from here up to the highway, because even in a great year, like I said, let's turn it all into pasture. And while we're doing this cross fence, let's do something else. And that is, let's fence off some of these drainages. So we went ahead and we've run fence down and strategically kind of cut through some of these drainages so that the cows in the summertime can come in and utilize all this deep, luscious grass. In a nutshell, that's what we're doing. Now I want to show you this fencing rig that we got, and then you're going to get to see everybody's jobs they're going to be doing. Rooster's been just dying for me to get home off the truck. I've been gone for just so long. Truck. He's been dying for me to get home to do this. It's kind of a manpower project where you just need some manpower. And anyway, I'm home now, and the weather's still holding. It's not quite wintertime yet, although next week will be a different story. We want to get these posts pounded while the ground is still thawed out. Okay, y'all, check out this cart. Oh, Fred, on stilts. Can you walk those? Let me just like stabilize you. Stand up on there. Okay. All right, now walk, boy. Yes. Join in the circus. So this is this fencing cart we got, you guys. This was made by a local guy here. Speak of Manufacturing here in Lewistown. This guy just had this little dream. He's like, man, we're in an ag community. Typically what Spica does, they do high-end metal work and fabrication. So when it's time to service a helicopter in a bay, like the platforms and ladders and things that just roll up and basically encase the whole outside edge around a helicopter so you can walk around and do maintenance up high on it, like that. They make those. Well, Tom has this idea. He wants to create this fence thing for the community. You know, like, hey, I'll build this little fencing cart that has everything you need on it. And he did, and we bought it. Unfortunately, he doesn't make them anymore because they just, as with so many great ideas, just marketing, like trying to get the ideas to the world, right? And this was made kind of before social media and all that was really a big thing like it is today. But on the back, it's got 3 spools where you can put 3 rolls of wire so that you can attach these down the line, and you just drive along and it unrolls the wire that you're going to need for your fence line. It's got these counterweighted drawers in it. Got storage up in the top, basically storage in the back for steel posts. Got a big ladder rack on top, which would be for putting bigger, heavier fence posts. If you got wire down below and you got this loaded with material, this does really well. Then on this side, it's just one big storage. Oop, can you pull that in? Same thing on top. And highway rated wheels to go down the highway. I got this little tongue that extends and then a hitch that goes on the back. Actually, I have pulled this thing down to Wyoming before. Weston and I had a custom fencing job. I think Luke got in on it too, actually. Anyway, we did a custom fencing job back in the day and pulled this thing down the highway at 60 miles an hour. He got an Atlas Copco hydraulic rig. And so this Honda motor runs the hydraulics. And like today, what we're using, that you'll see a lot of, is this baby for pounding fence posts. It goes on the top of the post. You'll see a lot of that. But I think the whole rig back when we did it was about $10,000, which these days seems relatively cheap. Another cool thing that it has, I can't really show, it's hard to explain, but we use it like crazy in the summer. This rack comes off and he's got like a 50-gallon slip tank that's custom designed to slide in here. And then the pump and all that, you pull this stuff all off of there and the pump lays onto this platform. And it's got a spray bar and a wand and everything you use. So in the summer, you just pull this thing around for weed control. First pull. That's a good sign when it starts on the first pull. You know it's going to be a good day. So some of these old fence posts, do the top one. Just push hard on it. You guys, some of these old fence posts, some of these nubs are they're sticking out a little too far, like one post out of like 15. And so we brought that grinder out and we just grind a little bit of that nub off so that this will fit over the top. Oh, go ahead and place it right in there. There you go. So we're finding on these are all old fence posts that we're reusing, that we pulled out of the old fence line. And it's these nubs we're finding are just all over the place. Some of them stick way out, some of them stick out very little. And the way that they fit over the gun, they really have to be ground down. So brought out the old handy grinder and just grinding away. I can say this is the first time in my collective memory that we've all had to shed out of our sweaters. We've shed the sweaters and we're out in our shirt sleeves at 11 in the morning. So, hey, so we've come all the way across. I'll show you. But here's another one of these railroad cuts. Another big, giant, wasted wallow down in the line we just finished. Up and over and up, down towards that brown barn down there. Up above, I'm just up on top. See, there's the wagon. So what's peculiar about this one, here's my shadow. Hello, y'all. Anyway, this drainage is really wide to start here. Huge, wide mouth. Okay, big, wide across here. And then it snakes clear down, way down there. Clear down to the bottom. If you look close, you can see two fence posts or a couple of brace posts down there that we set up. So what we're actually doing now, we're gonna run the fence line down to the bottom of that drainage and then over, and then we're gonna come up the west side. Right up along here, and watch where my finger's at. Watch, watch, watch. To that fence post, okay? So we're basically making a big horseshoe down there, down and back up. Once we get to there, we'll shoot it straight across to that last brace you see down there, and that'll complete the fence. Show you another thing I'm pretty excited about in the fencing world. Started using treated cross brace posts, bar post, whatever you want to call it. Traditionally, if you watch along the highway, and watch for this, you'll see this. This will make you laugh because you watched my video and then you watch the highway and you'll see this. You'll see these are called brace posts, right? They're what anchor your fence in. You put one in the ground there, one in the ground there. You put a cross bar or cross post across the center. Then you run a wire from the bottom up to the top. And essentially what that does, this wire, it pulls back like this. Because you ratchet it down. There's a little tool you use and you ratchet it down tight and then crimp it. So this is nice and tight. It's anchored around the bottom of this and it's pulling back like this. Keeping that fence, all them wires when they're up, it's pulling them back nice and tight. Same thing going this direction. It's up there. These two posts are working together to pull back. This is the anchor. Anyway, you understand. But what I'm showing you is this is treated wood. You go down the highway, watch, and you'll see these all along highway fences. You'll see a nice treated post or a railroad tie they'll use here and here. And then this piece, they typically use just a standard piece of untreated lumber. And the posts will remain. They'll stay in the ground and stay strong, but the crossbars rot after like 15 years, 16, 20 years. The cross pieces rot away and they actually just fall, just kind of are hanging there. And if you look, you'll see them all over the highways of America. Hey, that's pretty good, old Frito. Army, you just gonna try it like a pogo stick with one? Maybe that's how we should put them in the ground. You can just jump on them. Think about carrying those big old things down a hill.
It hurts.
What do you think they weigh?
15 pounds each.
15 each, you think? 30 pounds, probably. That's probably about right. It's pretty stout. All right, break time is over. I highly recommend ear protection. That little vibrating pounder deal, right in your ear ball. Yes. All right, let's get back to it. Huh? We used all of our posts and we're right now exactly halfway done with this morning's work or this day's work. So we all were off by quite a long shot. But let me show you something. Fence line, I want you to see how straight this is. See these T-posts going down the line? See that? Like that's, I mean, this is a long stretch. Clear up that hill, several hundred yards. You see how straight that is. Here's why I'm telling you about how straight it is. The jobs that we've had out here, it's Freddie's job to lay the posts out. So Freddie's in charge of the spacing. Every 5 paces he puts one down. Lash has been moving the machine for us every time so that we can move along without having to get in and get out. And Army's job has been setting the posts straight in line with the barbed wire, with the guide wire, and then setting them up for me so that I don't have to bend over each time, up and down, right? So he's the one that's been in charge of creating this line that you see going up. I noticed about, I don't know, about halfway down that line, I noticed it was really straight. And so I pulled him aside and called him over. I said, hey, look down this line, look at this. I said, look at that down the thing. I said, that's really straight. And that's you, man. Like you have a really good eye for keeping a straight fence. And just pulling him aside one-on-one and taking the time to do that for a minute gave him so much positive reinforcement to his job that as we've been coming further down the line, now I catch him holding them up and he holds his arm up like this. I see him now really making even a more, I mean, he was doing great before, but now he's really honed in on it. And the thing is, you guys, he will, for the rest of his life at that age, being told that you're doing a good job by somebody who's in authority to you, like I am to him, it means so much. I remember a few things with operating equipment that old man Rooster told me when I was young. He's like, man, you sure got a hand for this. And it motivated me inside to just really always want to do the best and to know that I'm kind of good at this. This is kind of my thing. So now forever fencing, laying out straight lines and doing stuff on the ranch for the rest of his life, I promise that he's now it's going to kind of settle on him that he's the guy for making straight lines, you know, because he did this at his age, made it that. Of course, we have a barbed wire guideline that goes down the fence, but you still, each individual post, if you move it in or out, it'll show. I mean, you'll see the posts will kind of zigzag in a line. But anyway, just wanted to remind you that taking a moment to pull someone aside, whether they're young like that or whether it's, you know, coworker, somebody, an employee, whatever it is, it means a lot and it goes a long ways. And you might just find that later on in the day, they're going to be going, yeah, that looks good. Get a few little videos of
We're getting desperate for posts, so I'm going to try to do surgery on this.
Don't break it.
This one's tougher. Alright, lashies.
How'd yours turn out? Oh yeah, good as gold. Mine's still a little squirpy, but this part's gonna be in the ground. So as short as we are, I think we better go with it. We got a few more in the boneyard. I think that we can like this one, heck, ain't even rusty. Just got somehow, I don't know, plumb good. Oops. It'll go down to my sternum, so we'll have that much. Should we weld something on it? I think we can try that, guys. Keep it balanced. Just gotta bounce on it. Yeah, there we go. Huh? Nah? What do you guys think? No matter what you think, by the time you see this, this post is going to be a permanent fixture in the landscape of the Wild West. Well, you guys, this is the face of a hard-worked little crew. What do you think, Marnie? Ish. Here's the thing, you guys, about a hard-working Saturday. So, was anybody really excited to get up this morning and get out and go fence?
Yeah. I was.
What? You both were? I guess me and Rabbit are the only two that are probably honest. I wasn't super thrilled. I've been on the road a lot and I'm super tired, but it needs to get done.
I didn't want to do it until you assigned our jobs, and I was like, yay!
Markham, how about you down there, weed man? You all right?
Yeah.
Freddie don't mind. The moral of the story that I was trying to get at, I think if everyone was being honest, was that when we first got up this morning, maybe we weren't super thrilled to just get out and go out on the old fence line. However, once we started working together as a family fun day, it wasn't so bad, was it? And as a good party should always be, the party continues, or the fun continues here. We were, how many posts short were we, Fred?
63.
63, which means we got to go to town and actually go spend some money to finish this project. What are posts? I think they're like $6 a piece, $6 roughly. So we got to go and buy about $400 or $500 worth of metal posts to put in the ground to finish the last 600 yards, 300 yards. I think we figured 300 yards. So we're probably going to wrap it up. kids are gonna go home. Me and Fred, me and Weedman are gonna run into town, go pick up some posts, grab a friend of Freddie's, gonna come hang out for a little while because we work hard and then we play hard. And we'll call her good, y'all.